Well, in a turn of fates that I did not see coming, BLG just stomped GenG 3-0. Elk had an amazing series. Chovy looked entirely lost, and now we have 3 matches left. By the time that you see this, the T1 BLG series will already be done, so I could look like a complete idiot as I'm talking here, but it's actually incredible how good the LPL is at team fighting. I personally had GenG winning the series and then beating T1 to go to the finals, but now I'm left just hoping for a T1 victory over BLG tomorrow so that we can get a rematch of T1 versus JDG, because quite frankly, we already saw JDG versus BLG and we know how that went. So I don't care to see it again. I don't want to see a 3-0 stomp in finals, especially after what we just saw in the upper bracket finals. I would like to see that rematch, and I hope that we do, and I know the league hopes that we do, because we'll get into viewership in a bit. But this is LFC. We're talking about the LCS first, which we are unfortunately out of the tournament. We've had some time now to reflect on our losses, and actually the results of these series, I'm not gonna lie, do affect my view of how I look at C9 and other teams in this tournament. Revisiting Golden Guardians, the fact that they were able to take a game off of BLG was really good now in hindsight, because C9 couldn't get a game off of them. GenG couldn't get a game off of them. JDG obviously 3-0'd them, so there's that caveat there, but that's also like home territory with the LPL that it's a little bit different. But nobody from any other major region besides the LPL has been able to take a game off of BLG besides the LCS. That's insane. Wait, am I wrong? Never mind, I'm dumb. G2 took a game off of them as well, so shit, we're still equal to Europe. Damn it. Oh, well, you know what? Hey, we did better than the LCK did if you ignore the fact that we got absolutely pounded by the LCK, which brings me to the Cloud9. GenG lost 3-2 to G2, lost 3-0 to BLG, 3-2 to T1, and we didn't even look competitive against them at all from Cloud9, which honestly, I guess we have to talk about it now. Cloud9, as of lately in the international tournaments, has been a bit of a disappointment. Granted, all of North America to a certain extent has been, but Cloud9 specifically is the team that we've expected to go to the international stage and at least be able to put up something. Like MSI last year with Evil Geniuses, they unfortunately didn't perform well. Bunch of rookies, it was what it was. This squad with Cloud9, you expect to at least do something. Take a game. They were winless against the major regions in this tournament, like excluding the Golden Guardian series, because I know people want to include them in the win count, but realistically you can't. Cloud9 didn't win a game, and if we're being honest, they didn't look good in any of their games either. Sven specifically got gapped hard this tournament. When you compare him directly to Huhi, it's like at least Huhi was being proactive and putting up decent numbers in some of these games, including in the BLG series, including in their losses within the bracket stage as well. Like, he looked good. Sven just got outright outclassed, and it was bad. Fudge as well. Fudge had one pop-off game at the very end, but beyond that, did not look good whatsoever this tournament. And you just sit here and wonder, if we can't get past them domestically, we're never going to stand a chance internationally. Which brings the final like wrap up of MSI for LCS fans is, what do we walk away with from, or how do we walk away from this tournament and feel? Realistically, the results went exactly as expected. We got unlucky with the draw, but we were never going to beat China or the LCK. And from that metric, from like the just pure numbers point of view, we arguably finished exactly where we should be. So realistically, LCS fans shouldn't be all that upset, right? No, I think we should be, if I'm being honest. Our international performance was horrible. Like, even if you're going to get 3-0'd, you at least want to look competitive in some of these series. And unfortunately, we really didn't for the most part. Like, as the tournament has gone on, we've now seen closer 3-0s where there wasn't this clear moment of, oh, you know, when we get past 15 minutes, this game is just done. It's like, no, these were 3-0 series that, like, push and pulled. One team could have won had they stepped up and done just this right thing, but there was never this doubt of, like, oh, this team cannot win. And there was never a moment in any of these series that we played, barring the one against ourselves, where I sat here as a fan, as somebody who's been injecting hopium for weeks, and said, yeah, we 100% can win this game. Like, we threw every lead that we had. We were never good at coming back from behind. So I understand why I've seen TikTok comments and YouTube comments saying, yeah, you know, why, like, I'm just not gonna watch if we're gonna get stomped on the international stage, and then obviously, like, the whole LCS drama shit happens. Like, look, I can't fight against that. If international results are what you independently value, then yeah, you're gonna need to go elsewhere besides the LCS and likely the LDC as well to try and find that. We're never gonna be able to provide that for you. However, I will say domestic play is fun. It's our region. Even if we're not going to perform on the international stage because of issues that we have, it's still our region. And it's fun to watch our players and everything else with North America for whatever prideful reason that we have here. Not whatever reason. Why am I saying, like, that's giving into the online crowd? The truth is that we do care about people that we can relate to from the places that we are from. It's like whenever somebody makes it big from your hometown, whether you like them or not, it's still a bragging point of, like, yeah, you know what, somebody from my small podunk hometown did something sweet. It's pretty nice. So it sucks whenever you're an LCS fan and you go into these tournaments and it's just like, we can't expect anything. So then how does this tournament impact our expectations for Worlds? Well, luckily, at a minimum, we're guaranteed to play against Europe at least once, with the 4th place qualifier for both our 4th seed and their 4th seed playing off against each other in a best of 5 to make it to the tournament. Quite frankly, that might be one of our biggest moments of the year, which is great. I'm personally going to do a lot to build hype up to that point, and I hope that 100 Thieves actually does finish 4th so we can get that best of 5 buff going in and then the play-in buff after that. Like, I would love to get to that point. That would be great. Oh man, they're showing the player cams on GenG and it does not look good after this series. But yeah, that's where we're at. If 8 teams get out of the Swiss format and go to the bracket stage, I would assume it's going to be the 4 teams, obviously, from the LPL and LCK. There's no reason to believe otherwise at the moment, especially after this tournament. I don't think you can really say much. Oh, that's a lot of 3-0s in the bracket. So yeah, we're going to need to really enjoy play-in stage and Swiss format for what it is. If we can squeak one team out as the West, then great. But honestly, like, I would just like to look a little bit more competitive if at all humanly possible. I don't think it is. So at the end of the day, I'm going to care more about the LCS Summer Split, especially given the fact that I'm going to be there as well. Before we get into the MSI general portion of this, as I kind of wrap up the tournament beyond just the LCS point of view, I do have a slight announcement, is that I have joined the My Verizon Creator Program, which basically means that there will be some videos each week, both on YouTube and likely on TikTok as well, that will have like hashtag My Verizon, and then do some promotion there in exchange for some things that they'll be giving me. And I'm really excited to use the program because Verizon is one of those things that personally, like, this part is not an ad read. I'm not required to do this, even though I am in the program. I'm just explaining my reasoning behind why I am really happy with this partnership. I've been using Verizon since I was, when I first got my phone, or my first phone when I was like 13, 14, and I've been on the Verizon network ever since. Back before data caps were a thing, I would burn through data left and right watching Twitch streams, watching YouTube, and everything else under the sun. And to be able to partner with them as somebody that directly is affiliated with gaming in some capacity, because they are the internet providers that allowed us to play our games, they are the cell phone providers that allow us to use data that allows us to watch streams and everything else there. It's a good partnership, and as we want to continue to grow gaming, we need to grow those around League of Legends as a whole, and that does include people like Verizon. So say I'll talk more about their promotions in a TikTok video later today, and probably make a YouTube video out of it separately later next week now that I have some downtime. But like, there are certain packages that you can do that I can tailor towards gamers specifically that actually works out decently well in our favor. So I'm excited to see what I can make out of this, what I can get out of this on my end as well, and see where we go from there. Coco. Back to this tournament as a whole. This is the first MSI that we've had this new format, and the question is it working? Is it good? Well, specifically from viewership, we are up 200,000 viewers on average from last year. The semifinal or winners final series from T1 JDG already beat finals of last year. So yes, without a doubt, this format is more entertaining than what we had previously. There are still clear issues with the 3-0 stomps. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Like, that, the amount of discrepancy between China, Korea, and everybody else in the world is blatantly apparent. And it also makes it tough whenever you have the two of them up top. You have Europe and North America here, and then every other minor region down below. And like, the gap between all three of them is so far that it makes these tournaments where you have, you know, one or two teams from each region so difficult, because there's just going to be such high skill discrepancy each and every time. Now, when we come to Worlds and we have 4 Korean teams and 4 Chinese teams and 3 or 4 North American teams and European teams, then yeah, you'll have that chance for the middle sections to play each other and get that entertainment more, which is why I think Worlds is still going to ultimately be the better tournament, despite us not having double elimination, which I know some people are upset about. Personally, I like single elimination brackets. Even though this is entertaining, like, single elim has always meant more to me. And the fact that we're going to have proper seeding via a Swiss system into that makes me a lot happier. But I'd be remiss to not talk about co-streams, because I honestly do believe that co-streaming the international events has been the main reason why viewership is so high right now. And that is Cadril acting as the European fan that people can go to for just pure hopium. You have the Spanish casters who got in a bit of trouble for being a little too diehard and over the top with their passion, quote unquote, as they went at Niski and didn't apologize. It's a whole mess there. But nevertheless, it is a proven point that co-streaming is working, and it is, quite frankly, a way forward for esports to continue to drive up viewership, even though you're probably going to take a hit on revenue from the league side, because even though you're streaming to more people, and you can require people to watch the ad reads and not be able to skip them, at the end of the day, it's not as valuable as whenever somebody directly watches it on the main broadcast, because then you don't have anything to talk over it or distract from the ad read, and there, quite frankly, is just more value there. So I'm curious to see how co-streaming does change the space to a certain extent. However, more eyes is always a good thing, especially if we can find ways in the future to monetize upon them, whether it's the Ink Shadow skin line for MSI here, a World skin line when the time comes, whatever it might be. Having more people around is always going to be good, and growing the game in this capacity is great. I'll be honest though, I've been let down by the North American side of co-stream. You look at Dom stream, and it's still mostly European fanboys in there, which by all means has its own appeal to it. And you have like Dom trying to fight on his own against all the European guys. Sure, but it's not the same as like whenever you go, like, everybody just goes in and is united under like LCS ride or die, which is exactly what Cadril's doing for the LEC. But you don't get that with Dom stream. You definitely don't get that with LS's stream, because obviously people are going to support the LCK first whenever it comes to his stream, even if he is affiliated with FlyQuest. That just is what it is. And then the Meteor sneaky double F stuff, like, I heard nothing from them all Worlds. Now, granted, Double Lift is obviously boot camping for the next season, or for the next split, so I wouldn't expect all that much there. But Sneaky and Meteos are like the two NA people, and there wasn't much there. And it just, like, I'll be honest, I was just really, really disappointed with North America's co-streaming side of this. Whenever we have co-streaming and Valorant for North America just popping off at an all-time high, and tons of creators that represent NA fandom and NA players and everything else there, it's just like, it feels like we're so far behind. And one of the things that I think I'm going to try and do starting this split, even though I was against it before, but it's clearly the direction that things are going, and I need to be less resistant to change at times, I think I am going to live view the LCS on Twitch. Obviously, we can't watch the games like together, and I'm not an official co-streamer. Plus, I also have work, which is going to make things more complicated, and I do the watch parties here in New York City, so it like not going to be like 100% a consistent thing, nor will I be able to watch the top games all the time. But that said, I think that's the direction going forward, and if I want to position myself as the LCS fan, like somebody that, you know, I'd like to eventually hit a higher rank in League of Legends. That way people can also trust my validity in terms of skill in the game. Like peaking plat, quite frankly, is not going to be enough for people to get that trust. But then also be a fan of like the business and everything else behind the LCS. I'd like to get to that point as well. I think the next step of that is going to be trying to watch the 100 Thieves games whenever I can on stream, but also watching some of the other games. Like the main thing is just watching the 100 Thieves games and giving people a way to watch it with me and be excited about the team first over anything. I don't know. Co-streaming is very clearly the way forward. Like, no doubt about that. We're going to ultimately become too reliant, in my opinion, upon influencers that people will prop up to hopefully, like, basically take the spot that VC left and drive that viewership in the way that they thought that orgs would, but clearly didn't. I don't know. I think that's probably going to be the way forward, and something that I need to better position myself as if I want to be like that LCS guy and LCS fan. Obviously, I'll still do YouTube videos and everything else here. That's not changing. We'll see. Either way, that's going to wrap up my coverage of MSI. I might talk about finals a little bit next week and congratulate China or Korea or whoever ends up winning. I think it's going to be JDG personally, meaning that Korea still hasn't won an MSI since 2017. So yeah, we might talk about it on Monday, but just keep an eye out. Be sure to drop a like and follow if you enjoy LCS content and League of Legends content in general. My name's David Shynock. Catch you next time. Adios.